Welcome to Conversations with Educators, where we bring educators from across the country to talk about topics like college and career readiness, graduation tracking, teacher growth, assessment coordination, and more. Let's get started.
Hi, everybody. Thank you for joining us. I'm Carrie Bartholomew with Education Advanced. I'm a customer success manager here. And today we have our Conversations with Educators webinar, and our guest speaker we're so thankful for is Caitlin Vanderhooten from SameGoal. Caitlin, I'll let you introduce yourself if you don't mind.
Hello, everybody. My name is Caitlin. I do community engagement for SameGoal, and what SameGoal does is a special programs document management platform. So in terms of accommodations, all document authors will typically document testing accommodations in their plan documents. So that's sort of the first step in the testing coordination process, because we take that information and we are able to then send it to TestHound for them to map and, work their magic.
Thank you very much. I have been a district testing coordinator, and I've been a building testing coordinator, and been at the Education Advanced team this is my 4th year. And so just a little background, if you are not familiar with TestHound, we are a software that manages all the logistics around testing. And SameGoal is such a great partner with us. We love to work with them. We work with lots of other vendors as well, but specifically, we bring information in from your SIS, and we bring your accommodation information in, and then we have all of that on a nightly basis coming in so that your buildings can see updates as they happen. And then we have tons of great reporting that come from that. So today, Caitlin and I are just going to have a conversation, not just about our particular products, but about best practices in general, and then tell you a little bit about how that works within our own products as well as we go. And for the first thing, that since we are at the beginning of the year, Caitlin, if you don't mind, I'll let you go first, and I'll kind of touch on some things that I've thought about. But what do you recommend? What would you say are some tips and tricks for just getting the year started when it comes to just accommodations and setting the stage for a great year?
So from a base level, I think just making sure all of the staff are on the same page and have a good understanding of the process. But more than that, getting your list of allowable accommodations. I know it varies from state to state how specific state regulations are with state testing accommodations that are allowable, but nailing that list down and making down your own district allowable accommodations. Specifically in SameGoal, we have a functionality for district bank values, which allow district admin users to create their own list of, say, accommodations, for example, so that you can provide document authors with that predetermined list. And recently, we also made it possible to make district bank only values, so that way you can enforce the use of these allowable accommodations. So just getting all of that nailed down so that you are standardizing your language, because then that information is then taken and sent off to TestHound to make it easier for mapping testing side.
That's awesome. And all of that is just leads right into the same thing I would recommend too. And just like you said, this is the time of year that you have new staff. You have people that maybe don't know your processes yet in your schools and in your district, and they have to be brought kind of up to speed. Everybody's just trying to get the year underway. But this is a great time to have those conversations, like Caitlin mentioned, about just getting your terminology on the same page and making sure that everybody, understands what's allowable for this year, if there are any changes by your Department of Education when it comes to those accommodations, especially for testing. This is a great time of the year to just kind of map all of that out. in TestHound, whenever we receive the accommodations from our vendors, from SameGoal, we bring those in. And so this is a great time to kind of in our platform to make sure that all of your alerts are accepted, your students are at the right campuses. Whenever we roll over from one year to the next, that's an important part of getting TestHound ready for the new school year, making sure all your students and your teachers and your rooms, in addition to the accommodations that are coming over, just maybe having a time that you work with your new coordinators to train them on what that looks like and how that all comes together so that you are set up and ready for tests that do come in the fall. So you're ready for that. Let's see, Caitlin, let me ask you about just consistency. It's so important to have consistency. And as you're having these conversations, what would be your best strategies for building consistency with accommodations at the district level?
Yeah, so as I mentioned, using those district banks, if you're using SameGoal to help standardize that language and make that reporting or the integration a bit simpler. But more than that, I think standardizing the process across your district. So having your staff at the middle school following the same process as your staff at the high school, folks on the special education team following the same process as folks on the Section 504 team. With SameGoal, all of the different special programs can be authored and managed in the same platform. And you enter accommodations the same way in one as you would in the other plan. And then our reports pull from all of the plans and send that off to TestHound all together. So having the same process can help make it easier to train new users. And then if questions do come in, a lot easier to answer those questions. And then also testing coordinators that are having to pull pieces from different places. Hopefully it's all into the same goal.
Yeah, that's very right along with what I plan to say too. It all kind of boils down to communication, and your system allows that communication to be consistent across, like you said, all of your buildings. Everybody's doing that process the same way. Ours is the same thing, but traditionally, I was a testing coordinator when we did not have TestHound, and at the campus level, and you are forced to create your own systems, and you use spreadsheets and you use all the things. The great thing about having TestHound as a system for your staff is that consistency, Caitlin. So when you do have someone retire or someone move to some other place, somebody is not starting from scratch. You have that system in place where it's very clear, this is the starting point, here are your students, here's the information. But just again, the consistency, those conversations around, we do work with schools in lots of states, and both in Texas, our SameGoal users that we have in Texas, we have SameGoal users in Ohio. Like, it is great to be able to take a look at what you have at the state accommodations, what's allowed each year. And those accommodations that are entered, it's different groups of your staff that are responsible. So you have people making decisions in meetings that are putting that in. And then there is a different group of people that is having to make sure those accommodations get out when you're talking about your state assessments or even local assessments. So it's bridging the gap, however you're doing that. If you're doing it by yourself with documents and trying to keep track of that on your own. I think the consistency that's built in TestHound is that nightly feed. Like, you're not having to wait for somebody to tell you, okay, we had a meeting on this student, and I'm going to put an email in your email box that you're going to have to find. That is so nice that we have that integration with our systems. So immediately when an accommodation comes in and a student has a change, in TestHound, you're going to get an alert that student, something's changed. So they're aware of it and they can make those adjustments before you get to the testing. Which kind of leads me into what I was hoping we could talk about next, is just ways that we can avoid irregularities or errors when it comes to providing students accommodations. So I'll let you talk about that, and then I'll follow you up.
Yeah, so I think a lot of ways that you can sort of limit any errors or irregularities. The first, right from the get-go when you're starting documentation for your annual review, actually pulling information from last year's document so you can get eyes on the accommodations the students received last year so that you aren't missing any of that, and then you can make decisions going forward based on what they were already receiving. Also, I think same goal, we take the information that's documented in a plan document, we will pull that into testing coordination documentation, we will pull that information directly into the reports that are sent to TestHound. So that limits how often you're needing to enter that data, and so it can all remain one-to-one. So less likely that it's going to become out of sync. Additionally, our reports that we send to TestHound nightly, our testing coordinators are able to review that report and catch any errors or irregularities. So then if there are any issues, they're able to go and view that documentation and make updates and make fixes sooner rather than later so that you are sending clean data onto test.
Perfect. And while you're talking, Caitlin, there was a question that came in. I'll just read it. And it says, our district has been using SameGoal for SPED and 504, but this year we'll be using SameGoal for MTSS as well. What do we need to do to avoid errors in the test down accommodations when we have a student who is SPED and MTSS?
So SameGoal can pull testing information from across different programs. But the really nice thing about using SameGoal for your different programs is that somebody who is on the special education team would be able to be given access to that MTSS documentation so that you're able to see what sort of testing information they have documented in this plan so that you can work across teams to make sure that the accommodations for that student makes sense. But then, yes, like I mentioned, we will pull information from your IEP, from your RTI plans, and it's all going to be, captured in one location.
Perfect. And I should stop and just mention, I'm thankful for Matt that put the question in the Q&A, and just would like to point that out to anybody else on the call. If you have a question, if you have something that you'd like for either of us to address, feel free to use that. We'll be watching that and we'll come back to that. From the TestHound side, just as far as avoiding errors and irregularities, this is to me is the beauty of having having TestHound to it eliminates the need for all the different ways that an accommodation or a student can be missed. If you have students that move in and move out and you set up a test and sometimes if you just lose track because there are so many different ways that things that have to be considered whenever you're managing testing altogether. So the great thing about TestHound, if anything changes, student enrollment changes, you're going to get an alert at your campus level that you have a new student or an unenrolled student or somebody that's even come back. You're also going to get population alert changes. So if you have a student that is newly identified as special education or 504 or EB or any program, that you're going to get a notification. The last time you logged in, they were not. Today they are. So you're going to get that notification as well. And with our accommodations from the vendors that you work with, again, as those changes happen, you're going to see those alerts at the campus level. And that is what really is going to help you be like, okay, this student I need to put them in a text to speech group. I need to make sure, or speech to text, I need to make sure they have a good microphone. Like it's going to alert the person that's building out that test. Beyond that, once you build in TestHound and you print all the reports, that will save you just hours and hours and hours of your time that you've been creating on your own after pulling all the information from all the places. You're going to be able to pass that along to your teachers, hopefully in advance of, if you can work ahead and get that to teachers so that if they have any questions, they can ask and they can take a look at all of that reporting. But it's just so easily available. Even when you're not building out tests, we have a master accommodation report in TestHound that you can pull at any time. And it's going to give you a master list of all of your kids, all of the subjects, all of the accommodations and just put it in one document that you can download as an Excel. And then that's where you have those conversations with your special programs people to, let's just double check. This is what's going in SameGoal, and here's what we have for students. And remember that for testing, things come across in lots of different ways. And in TestHound, we're kind of standardizing it to just some language that is allowable for state testing. So sometimes decisions have to be made about the intent of accommodations. Kaylin, as people put things in, you may have to go ask someone, okay, what did you mean by this? Because you're not the one that did that. So having the ability to just easily print those reports at any time is really going to help you with that, to have, first of all, have time to have those conversations, just to make sure that you're avoiding those errors. We do have another question in the comments. It says, is there a report in SameGoal that I can run to cross-reference accommodations with what is feeding to TestHound? I'll let you take it, and
Yes.
I'll take it from my side as well.
Yes, and while we're on the topic of just having one nice report with everything to look at, yes, there is a TestHound report in SameGoal. And so what's really great about integrations from SameGoal is they are based on the reports we are running. So you can run that TestHound report in SameGoal, and that would give you the information that would be sent to TestHound on an basis.
And then sometimes people don't have the SameGoal access. I mean, because it's a different user. The people that are building the test, or your district people that are managing testing, maybe in their particular school district, they don't have access, a login or whatever to SameGoal. But every night, we call it autopilot. That's where the accommodation file comes in. So at the district level, you have the ability to see the last time that file was loaded, it ran, and you have the ability to download that file. So you can always see what we are ingesting, what we've shared, what SameGoal has shared with us from the previous night. And this is helpful. And, we talked a minute ago, Caitlin, about just kind of, again, getting everything consistent. If you and also a kind of another way to check for errors. So if you are at the district level and you're seeing those accommodations come in and you're mapping it to what's available or allowable for your state testing, and you're like, this is not something that students are allowed to have, you can pull that file, see which student had it, and then ask those questions ahead of time before it's a problem, before the day of testing, when you're like, oh, well, it says in their documentation they could have this, but it's not allowable for this test. So it's again, another way to just proactively check to make sure everything is good for that testing.
Start reviewing early and review frequently.
Yes. Okay, so those are the two questions in the chat. Another is just best advice. So you've worked with lots of schools and lots of people and accommodations. What would you say just overall best advice, Caitlin?
I mean, already we've touched on, standardizing language and getting eyes on it early. I think that's really the biggest thing. Just make sure that you are reviewing this information early. You've got reports in SameGoal, you've got reports in TestHound that you can take a look at. And I know that there's so many moving pieces and it's not easy work. But if you are starting early, then you're able to resolve issues. It's a lot less stressful when you've got weeks to do it rather than day of. And additionally, if you're looking early, then you're able to catch patterns and you're able to resolve those, actually talk to the staff members and make sure that it doesn't continue to be a pattern or a problem.
Okay, perfect. We have another question in the chat, and I think this is going to probably be more from my side. Let me go ahead and read it. What can I look for when I see accommodations in the student's IEP, but they are not on the TestHound report? I cannot figure out why they're not feeding over. The IEP is locked, the dates are current. Any ideas on what to look for? So, well, do you have anything you'd like to say, Caitlin, before I take this?
Oh, it could be a few different things. We have I'm assuming you're talking about state accommodations. If it's district accommodations, we can send that information over, but typically we don't. It's really up to the district. But yeah, I would say it's already locked, so that's typically the first thing we check for. If you are troubleshooting and you are running into issues, we do have a help desk that is super responsive. You can email, you can call them. If it does require a bit of digging, like I mentioned on the SameGoal side, could be a few different things. So hard to pinpoint exactly what that would be without getting into it, but the help desk for sure could help take a look. Then Carrie from the TestHound side.
Sure. And I love that our answers are the same because our very first thing is to make sure it's locked. That's always kind of the first thing. If somebody's in there working on a meeting and it's in draft mode or edit, whatever it's called, whenever it's open and not locked, it won't come into the report because we're getting finalized decisions. Those are the accommodations that are being populated in that report and come to TestHound. And then it also kind of depends on which report you're talking about and if you're a district user or a campus user in TestHound. But just so you kind of know the flow, when those accommodations come in, the first thing I'd say to do after you know those that has been locked is to check your mapping. So you would want to see, like if you've got a student ID, that you've got someone that you're specific. I'm looking at a student's IEP, it's not there. You can download that file that we mentioned that you can either get it from SameGoal or TestHound, put their local ID in and see exactly what's coming over. And if you see it in that report, but you're not seeing it on your TestHound reports, then we need to look at how things are mapped. So maybe it's just something that's been mismapped. It's been mapped to the wrong thing, or it's been mapped to null and void for some reason, or it hasn't been mapped at all. So the next question or the next kind of step is to check your mapping. If there's anything that needs to be mapped, then it also needs to be published to the campuses. So we map, we publish it out to the campuses, and then it should be available to your campuses. However, your campuses, again, we talked about beginning of the year things that your alerts have to be accepted. So that student has to be on that campus that it's going to. So there's step-by-step troubleshooting. And just like Caitlin said, here at Education Advanced, the TestHound support team is amazing. Everyone on our team has been a building test coordinator or a district testing coordinator. So we have done the job that you're doing and we love the product as a user. And so we want to help you with anything you've got. We do have a new feature this year. If you go to submit a support ticket, there will be a chat feature enabled if there's someone on our support team available to chat with you live. So you'll have to click like you're going to enter a support ticket, and if someone's available, that will populate at the very top. So that's available. It's not a chat bot. It's a real person that is live answering your questions. But you can always put a support ticket in. They're very fast. If you're a district level administrator user and you're managing TestHound, you can always reach out to your CSM to help you troubleshoot something. If you've done the normal steps and you're not seeing it, we can certainly work through that with you. And for those of you that maybe are new to TestHound, whenever you click on the help button in the top black menu bar, it will take you on the bottom of any page of that help, you just scroll all the way down. That's where you can get to our support tickets. And you know, Caitlin, I'm not sure if you mentioned this or not, but don't you guys have the little question mark that takes to your.
Yeah, so we've got similar drop-down menu when you're logged into SameGoal. In the top right, there's a question mark icon, and that will show you SameGoal help desk contact information. So email or phone, you can call and talk to a real person, which it's awesome that TestHound is also doing this, especially today, being able to talk to a real person is super helpful, super valuable. So you'll see the help desk contact information. We also have links to other helpful resources. If you ever have questions or need help with something, we've got online support guides that walk through how to run different reports, how to fill out different documents. So if you just want to sort of look through and see how to fill out this specific form, how to do this specific workflow, we've got all that. We also have a blog where we announce any updates. And so specifically for TestHound, our TestHound report has had a few updates recently. So if you are a SameGoal user, you can always stay on top of our latest blog to see the most recent updates. So yeah.
Perfect. We also share in the same kind of line of support. We have weekly webinars, which are different from these conversations with educators. Our weekly webinars are short, like 20-minute topical. They're about something, some specific function in TestHound that we go through. And those are always recorded. So I know your schedules don't always allow you just to stop whenever we're having a webinar, but you can find those again whenever you go to that help tab, scroll all the way down to the bottom. It gives you a link to the educational sessions. Click right in there and it'll show you what is scheduled and upcoming. It also gives you a list of any of our TestHound tune-ups, which are office hours. One of the trainers, one of the customer success managers will be sitting in a Zoom just waiting for somebody to come with questions, just like you had, Amy. We could troubleshoot it together in a tune-up. And then also all of those recordings that are previously recorded. If you have new staff, we have in our knowledge base, there's training videos that you can send new building coordinators or campus coordinators through those training videos so they can walk through those piece by piece. And always reach out to us if you need help. If you need a more customized training, we can work with you on that as well. Caitlin, we are 4 minutes away. I'm continuing to watch. Oh, there are more. Sorry, there are more questions. I didn't scroll down. Okay.
I think
So
there's
somebody else
another-
is helping answer that question. Yep. So this has been a great conversation. We so appreciate our partnership with SameGoal. They're wonderful to work with. They have been great as we go, and just we learn from each other. And we're here to support you, both teams. And we're just thankful that you joined us today for this webinar. This will also be sent out as a recording. So if you need to share it with somebody that wasn't on here, then you can do that. I do want to mention that Education Advanced is our company and TestHound is the specific product that we're highlighting today. But we do have our Pathways product which is a graduation tracker, which is amazing if you're having to deal with all the specifics that a student needs to get to graduation. And there are some TestHound reports unique just to our Pathways connection. And we also have an evaluation, which is a teacher evaluation tool that just simplifies. So all those like technical hard kind of things you have to figure out one way or another, we have some solutions for that. Caitlin, anything else you'd like to share before we jump off?
Yeah, I would just like to say thank you again for having me. And I just think, testing coordination is not an easy thing to do. There's a bunch of moving pieces and real life implications. So I just think both Education Advanced and SameGoal are here to help make that process as simple as possible.
Perfect. Thank you so much. Y'all have a good afternoon.
Thanks for joining us. If you want to learn more about college and career readiness, graduation tracking, teacher growth, assessment coordination, be sure to subscribe to our newsletter. Until next time.